I'm opening it up to who would like to check in and share themselves. Florence, you've, I know you were going to think of something.
Yes, I was. Good morning and evening, everyone. So my name is Florence and I'm joining from Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah, before the pandemic, my life was normal, like everybody else. I was just doing my own things. Hadn't expected this to happen. I think I had many assumptions about the world, and you know how things should go. So it was kind of a challenge of my assumptions about things being normal. In Kenya, actually, it came a bit after it had been to other countries. So we had been preparing for it for some months, and then we got the first case, and everybody went into a panic mode. Yeah. So as a therapist, I think I had limited exposure on things like offering services online. I was doing most of my seeing of children physical. We have a hotline for children, so sometimes I would also volunteer in the hotline, but not in the magnitude that started. So, and of course, I had my professional circle, I would say, was a bit small, limited. But then when the pandemic came, things changed, actually. I remember feeling a bit angry when people I had been seeing, public figures and people in the community dying. And I particularly remember this one lawyer who's we went to the same church and we just saw that he had died of COVID, and I was so mad. I could not believe that it just, within a few days he was gone. So that was one of the things that I felt. And then, of course, I think I identify with those young people about not making any specific plans, because like I said, the assumptions I had made about making plans 2 years, 3 years from now wasn't happening. I had a challenge because I was doing my doctorate internship, and no hospital was taking people. So that post stopped going to classes. But most of the time, actually, the internet, we started using the internet a lot, and that's where I learned how to start offering this service to children. It was helpful, but I personally, honestly, I don't think I liked doing online counseling, especially with small children. It was very tasking, and like I think I shared that one time, the challenge being not every child has access to internet.
Yeah.
Or internet-enabled phone.
Right.
I remember one time I had a child who had to go to the teacher's house, their school teacher house, to have a session so that they can use the internet and their laptop. So things like that. But again, on the other side, being able just to reach many children across the country. And also, I learned, that's how I joined the Just for Now cause. And I've learned so much from just being here. And my circle of professional colleagues has really widened. I feel like from here in Nairobi, I've been able to travel to many places, virtually. But in the future, because of this experience, I am not the same as a person and as a therapist. I am not. I have widened my horizons and I look at things differently. I hope that I can also visit those places that I have visited virtually, physically. That's one thing that I've gotten confidence in. And of course, I am actually able to be a bit more confident, and once in a while I'll see children in a neighboring country. So that's been opened by the increased use of web-based therapy. So yeah, and just I hope that we can be able to expand our use of play therapy in Kenya and even within the East African region, because through meeting other therapists around East Africa, I've realized that there is a need, but it's been a life-changing experience.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think you're speaking to common things that I've heard in my conversations with many, even here, common themes. And that's what's been so remarkable about this time is I've learned firsthand that we have more things in common than not. And that's not to take away from all of our individual differences that should be celebrated and understood. I found that both are true. So thank you, Florence. So, but Michelle from Ireland, if you also want to, after Michelle, and you want to share, I wasn't putting you on the spot though, but we'd be so happy to hear from you. And by the way, if you want to rename yourselves where you're from, so that we get a sense of, even with 38 people, how many countries are here, which is amazing. So Michelle from Panama, you here?
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
Good. What would you say about the past, present, and future?
Well, I have definitely seen so many changes. I would say, before pandemic started, I was a preschool teacher, which is one of my favorite experiences in my life. I really miss that now because during pandemic, I was trying to make this transition from being a preschool teacher to move just to private practice. But I think it was very enriching to see how, like having this teaching experience online with children, like 3-year-old children, and getting into all of these family houses. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was, like such a beautiful community and teamwork. And also the Just for Now calls, where they had such a big impact for me in my life and for Spanish speaking countries, Latin American countries, because I think it was like a gift given just when it was needed. So many people were able to access all of these tools. There was a very big demand to get to know how to use all of these wonderful tools of the model that we have with the model, how to apply this now to such a big crisis that we are all sharing. I think it was amazing. And just like Florence, I feel like this was a beautiful opportunity to broaden, all the contact with people of so many countries. I can say before the pandemic, I never imagined I could be able to know so many therapists from so many parts of the world. But now I do. I feel very lucky. I thank you all for being a part of this. And especially you, Karen, thank you for creating this beautiful space so we all could meet, so we all could see all the things we have in common, all the things we share, and this beautiful space to share all our resources and to just be us. So thank you so much for that. This is definitely a before and after in my life, and I can be pretty sure in everyone's life. So thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for the nice words. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I just got inspired by Michelle. And I would like just to share shortly about experience from preschool, because I'm working on my research and parallelly I'm a children's therapist. But during COVID, for example, in my preschool where I do the research, we were struggling to keep the community of children because some were online and only children of essential workers could be there in the preschool in Serbia. And as I'm researching lifeful problematic of children, so what are the questions and concerns of children? During this time, it was so clear how we could see what were the concerns of children. And I think these questions like, did COVID appear in the dark side of the planet? How can we be friends without touch? When can I hug and connect with my friend in the same way? And so on and so on, and how the world will look in the future. I think we were together with children exploring all these existential questions and also trying to keep the community and alive in between generation and between children. So I think that was something that completely opened up, I think, us as teachers and researchers to a new level of thinking together with children. And taking them seriously, really.
Yeah. Wow. Those questions, Masha. Ooh, I got the chills when you talked about that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Laura?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. I'm right now in Medellin, in Colombia, and I really don't remember how was my life before pandemic. I know, I think I used to travel, I used poetry with public, and I used to work in schools with children in person. And the time for me during these 3 years that have passed have been like the gift of the protection of this model in my life, because it was like a challenge for our collective selves, and it was like we are being tested, like, yeah, we need some kind of plan to do, and it was like, we don't know what's going to happen, but I have a plan to continue doing my job, to continue helping, and to continue taking care of myself. That's the plan, and it is. So in my future, I hope the trips come, that we can hug each other, that we can continue connecting. But this is the best plan ever, because we have a structure that help us to continue like being in touch. So thank you for that. And yeah, I don't know if this is the now and the future or the past. I have a problem with all of that. It's just for now.
Yeah. Whole new
Yeah.
sense of time, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wants to share? And then I'm going to share a demonstration for you.
Well, I can jump in just really briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really, I don't know, again, whether it's past, present, or future, but it's really brought a sense of gratefulness, you know, and just a sense. I'm back to traveling. I went out of the country recently, and experiencing the things that were always just normal for me in a new kind of way, with a sense of gratefulness, and also an awareness of how quickly most of my work is in person, and I was virtual really only for about a couple of months. but this sense of, kind of like when we have a really bad illness and we just wish that we would feel better, and that's consuming all of our thoughts. And then we feel better and we get on with life and we forget that we were sick. And the kind of the pandemic reminds me of that in a way. It's easy to kind of just put it in the background again. I get reminded that my life was just so different 2-3 years ago. And clinically, what is really standing out to me, because again, most of the people I see are in person, how that event in people's history has had such a profound effect. A lot of times I'll be working with kids and adults, and we're tracing back, well, when did you get really depressed? When did things change so much? And oftentimes kids and adults are, well, it was so hard when I was so alone for that year, or I didn't have contact with family or friends, or I lost all of my friends, and how it's still so pertinent from even a treatment perspective of what impact it's had on the development, not only of kids, but of adults also. It's such a point of reference. It's easy for me to forget because I feel like I've sort of left behind a lot of the pandemic stuff, and clients keep on reminding me of what a huge event developmentally it has been.
Yeah. Thank you, Patrick. I agree. I think there's been a lot of crises in the professional and my personal community. And I mean suicides, more than, I don't know what the normal rate is because I don't know that, but a lot in a very short, the last few months. And so that's partly why I decided on this topic, is just to give us all a chance to reflect, because we may be seeing the impact now and in the future. I'm gonna, oh, Chris.
Yes, right, Karen, what Patrick said prompted me to remember and think about also the re-entry process, because so Patrick, you're saying you were just at home a couple of months, and I know there were some people who were essential workers who never here in the US needed to, or other places needed to stay at home all of the time. And part of what I'm seeing is the variation in the re-entry process puts everyone in a different spot. That some people are very comfortable being out in public, resuming, going to the theater, traveling, eating out, seeing friends, those kinds of things. And some people still aren't doing that. Some people, for very legitimate health reasons, are still at home, and so some people feel left behind or not considered, and I find there's a certain anxiety about that re-entry, that readjustment of, as someone in your video said, oh, the world is so dirty, there's so many germs everywhere, that our consciousness about that. So I'm helping people a lot have the context for, oh, this is where you are in your re-entry phase of this pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I think that's such a good point. Thank you. Okay. So Natalia, you're back. I'm gonna are you here for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I want to
Hello.
I want to go to a video first and then hear from you if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Okay.
That's okay? Okay. All right, great. I don't want to lose you. But I want us to watch this video, and then it's going to set the tone for our, I'm hoping, for our breakout rooms where we'll all more in smaller groups reflect on just what we've been talking about.